Welcome to the second session of our series, The Questionable Life. In this session, we're going to talk about one of the topics that has the ability to completely transform people's lives. It has the ability to restore marriages, entire families. It could even shape communities for decades to come. If we'll live out what we talk about during this session, it could definitely be something that others would regard as questionable behavior. The topic is forgiveness. Here's the big idea for this session. You can become a forgiving person only when you fully embrace that you are a forgiven person. All right, let me say that again. You can become a forgiving person only when you fully embrace that you are a forgiven person. Now, before we go on, let me clarify what forgiveness is and is not. Forgiveness is not a choice that immediately makes all the pain and hurt go away. Forgiveness does not change the past. Forgiveness also doesn't mean that you have to trust the other person or party involved. Many times, there's a good reason not to trust someone immediately again. Instead, forgiveness is a choice to cancel a debt. When somebody's done something that has hurt us or harmed our future, in a sense, they owe us. They're in debt to us. But the choice to forgive is a choice to cancel that debt. Let it go and say, you don't owe me that debt anymore. I'm not holding on to it. So how do we become people that forgive those debts? Well, the first step is to remember that we are forgiven. You can become a forgiving person only when you fully embrace that you are a forgiven person. So here's a story that we want you to reflect on as you begin your small group time. It's found in Matthew 18, and it's often called the story of the unforgiving debtor. It's a humbling story that Jesus tells to command us to forgive others. In fact, if you're experiencing some conflicts in your own life, the whole chapter in Matthew 18 deals with how to resolve conflict in a healthy way. So it might be a great chapter for you to read. But here's how the story of the unforgiving debtor goes. A king calls in a man who owes him a few $1 billion. And since the man can't pay up, the king decides to throw him into prison along with his family until they do pay up. Well, this was obviously such a tremendous debt that the man could never pay. So the man pleads with the king to cancel or forgive his debt. Well, the king cancels and forgives his debt. However, when that guy leaves, he sees someone who owes him a few $1,000s. And this guy, who has just been forgiven a debt of a few $1 billion, demands repayment from this other person who owes him a few $1,000s. And when he begs for forgiveness of the debt that he can't pay, the man refuses and has him thrown into prison. Well, word gets back to the king, and the original guy who'd been forgiven, his enormous debt of $1 billion, is punished and thrown into jail for his flagrant refusal to forgive others in light of his own forgiveness. The lesson? We are to forgive just as we have been forgiven. Living a life of questionable forgiveness means that we forgive others before they ever apologize, if they ever apologize. It means that we forgive even when everyone around us is crying out for vengeance. It means that we forgive even though others really do owe us something. When we live like that, it'll begin to spark curiosity. And when other people ask us, why would you do that? We can point them to the God who loves and forgives them as well. Part of the way that we help people find their way back to God is to live lives that are so compelling, so intriguing, that people would wonder and ask, who are you? Why are you doing that? So, may you and I live lives of questionable forgiveness so that when the unbelieving world looks at us, they see a picture of a gracious and forgiving God. Have a great small group.